When the final whistle sounded after the Browns' crushing loss to the Bengals, it didn't feel like just another defeat. It felt like déjà vu all over again, a familiar sting. Like watching your favorite movie fall apart in the third act for the 17th straight time. Missed kicks, missed reads, missed chances. The heartbreak wasn't only on the scoreboard. You could see it on every player's face inside that locker room. Most of them sat silently, sulking or staring blankly into space. But one man reacted differently. He stood up. Shedeur Sanders. If you want the real story, the messy twists that never make the highlight reels, stick around. And if you want to follow how this Browns quarterback saga unfolds, make sure you're subscribed. Shedeur wasn't supposed to matter that night. Third string quarterback, rookie, no stats on the sheet. But in that moment, he might have been the most important player in the building. While cameras captured tears, tempers, and tension, Shedeur walked over to the rookie kicker, the one who had just missed the potential game winner, and stood beside him. No lecture, no correction, just presence. And that's what made it powerful. No headlines, no drama, just poise, just character. It deserves more than a passing mention. You had a kid fresh out of college, emergency third string, 0 NFL snaps, standing in the middle of another Browns collapse, and he was the one showing leadership. That's not normal. That's not just being a good teammate. That's the kind of moment that makes people stop and ask, who is this kid? And if you're asking now, you're already late. Because Shedeur Sanders didn't just arrive in Cleveland, he's been quietly setting a tone since the day he walked through the door. No loud outbursts, no ego, just preparation, humility, and emotional intelligence, all things this franchise has sorely lacked. Make no mistake, what he did with that kicker wasn't a PR stunt. It wasn't rehearsed. It was instinct to lead, even without playing a single down. And that's rare. That's what a real franchise quarterback looks like. Every draft season, the NFL talks about intangibles. Coaches say, this guy has the tools, he's a winner, he's a locker room leader. But most of the time, it's empty talk. Until adversity hits, and suddenly everything boils down to stats. But every once in a while, someone comes along who actually lives it. That's what Shedeur showed, not with a 300-yard passing game or a dramatic fourth-quarter comeback, but by being the calmest, strongest presence in a room full of doubt. That's leadership. And the veterans noticed. Joe Flacco noticed. Myles Garrett noticed. You don't need words when you see it in their eyes. In a league full of egos, a nod from players like that means everything. They've seen others crumble under pressure, guys who are loud when things are good, but silent when the moment turns dark. Shedeur wasn't one of them. Rookie third string, and he was the one doing damage control. That's different. That's special. And let's be real, this is Cleveland. This is the curse. Not in a mystical sense, but in a cultural one. The Browns don't just lose, they find the most dramatic, heartbreaking ways to do it. Dropped passes in the red zone, bad coaching calls, wasted timeouts, missed kicks that feel like personal attacks from the football gods. Each time, the team's confidence takes another hit. That's what a curse really is. A cycle you can't escape because you already believe you're doomed. And that's why Shedeur matters. You don't break a curse with talent. The Browns have had talent, over and over. You break it with culture, with people who shift the energy in the building, who show up when they aren't asked to, who lead without being starters, who care even when they don't get credit. That's why this story is compelling. Because we all know Shedeur's time is coming. Maybe not this week, maybe not this season, but it's coming. And when it does, he won't step onto the field unprepared. He'll be ready, because this is what real development looks like. He isn't sulking about being third string. He's watching, he's learning. He's figuring out how to lead from the sideline. So when he finally takes the reins, it won't be about proving himself. It'll be about elevating the team. And believe me, the locker room knows it. Players aren't naive. They can spot the real ones. Shedeur has already earned what takes most rookies 2, 3, even 4 seasons to earn. Respect. That's the difference between a flashy prospect and a true franchise quarterback. It's not just ability, it's trust, composure, stability. You can coach a quarterback to read a defense, but you can't teach him how to steady a teammate after a soul-crushing miss. That's who Shedeur Sanders is. Now, let's be clear. 1. Gesture doesn't make him the next Mahomes or Brady. No one's putting a crown on his head just yet, but he gets it. He understands what's needed. And in a franchise that has botched momentum, leadership, and talent for decades, that alone makes him the most important person in the room, even without stats beside his name. So what does this mean? It means Shedeur isn't just training his arm, he's building a foundation, patience, maturity, presence. When the moment comes, he won't have to transform into a leader. He already is one, he just needs the chance. For Browns fans, that's the light at the end of the tunnel. Yes, the team has flaws. Yes, the coaching is inconsistent. Yes, that kicker probably still has nightmares. But Shedeur Sanders is proof that something is changing in Cleveland. Not hype, not headlines, but hope. And around here, hope means everything. Sir, what do you think? Is Shedeur the Browns' best kept secret? Did his quiet act of leadership say more than any touchdown pass ever could? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you're following this journey, subscribe, because this isn't just about one player. It's about what happens when character, timing, and opportunity finally align. The Browns' curse may still exist, but right now in Cleveland, something new is unfolding. Not controversy, not chaos, but a foundation. And here's the wild part: most people don't even realize it yet, because when you picture a franchise-changing quarterback, you think of fireworks. You think of the first 400-yard game, the signature highlight, the deep ball that silences a stadium. The ones who really change franchises, they do it with atmosphere first. They calm the storm before they ever throw a pass. And that's exactly what Shedeur Sanders is doing without even stepping on the field. Let that sink in. Third on the depth chart, behind a fading veteran and a rookie stopgap in the middle of an identity crisis, and still, he's making waves. Not with his arm, but with his empathy, with his steadiness, by showing up when no one asked him to. That kicker will never forget it. In the lowest moment of his young career, when his failure played out on live TV, he was met not with silence or blame but with support, from a rookie backup quarterback, not the coach, not the GM, not the special teams coordinator, Shedeur. And that's what makes this story different. It wasn't a PR spin. It was the start of something real, the beginning of leadership. Leadership is contagious, it spreads, it shows others how to act, how to handle pressure, how to care not just about the scoreboard, but about each other. And when a rookie takes on that role naturally, without a title, that's when you stop seeing him as a prospect and start seeing him as a pillar. Because here's the truth. The Browns haven't faced for years. Talent was never the problem. They've had top picks, elite rosters, flashy trades, and still, they collapsed. Fourth quarter failures, mental mistakes that snowballed. Why? Because there was no anchor, no one to steady the heart of the team. That's what Shedeur is becoming. The guy who keeps the locker room from cracking. The guy who makes receivers believe. The guy who puts his arm around a teammate and says, "We'll get the next one." It may sound cliche, but ask any coach or former player, they'll tell you championships aren't won with stats, they're won with trust. And the Browns have been bankrupt in trust for decades. That is Shedeur Sanders going to single-handedly reverse all that just by being a good teammate? Of course not, but the Browns don't need a savior. They need stability, consistency, a North Star. And Shedeur is checking every box. So when the day comes, it won't feel like a risk to hand him the ball. It'll feel like the natural next step. Because this isn't about hype. It's about someone earning respect the old-fashioned way through humility, consistency, and action. And here's the fascinating part. The veterans see it. Joe Flacco has been to the mountaintop. He knows what a real quarterback looks like. And every quiet nod, every subtle glance across the room, that means more than highlights. Myles Garrett built on discipline, built on work ethic. He doesn't hand out respect easily. If he sees Shedeur carrying himself like a pro now, you can bet he'll remember it when the pressure is highest. That matters. Because quarterbacks don't lead with talent alone. They lead by presence, by tone, by how they carry themselves through adversity. And Shedeur is setting the tone this franchise desperately needs. Look around the NFL. The role of quarterback is changing. It's not just shut up and throw anymore. Teams want culture builders, leaders who can speak to the locker room, the media, and the fans. Quarterbacks aren't just players, they're brands. And Shedeur, he already has the brand, the pedigree, the composure. Now he's proving he also has the intangibles. The things you can't measure at the combine. The things that don't show up on a QBR stat line. The things that win championships.